When I was 25 years old, I was kidnapped and held in captivity for 90 days in the dark. In that time, I was single mother and I did have my 3-year-old girl that was waiting for me in the daycare the day they kidnapped me. I was coming out from my University of Medellin, and right there at the gate of the university, two cars stopped me, and I thought it was like they're gonna rob my car, and didn't. It was a gun in my forehead. They put me in the trunk of a car, and they just lost the key from my freedom. And I was worried. I was in shock, but at the same time, I was worried about my 3-year-old girl that was waiting for me.
Welcome to Linda's Corner, where we bring more hope, healing, and happiness to the world. My name is Linda Bjork, and today we're going to be talking about surviving and healing. I'm delighted to welcome Gloria Londono. Gloria is a certified life coach, podcaster, author, and a kidnapping survivor. You can reach Gloria at her website, where she offers a free 7-step guide to becoming your family's healing link. Welcome, Gloria. I'm so glad that you could join with me today.
Hi, Linda. I'm so happy to be here, and it's an honor to be sharing my story with you and your audience.
I appreciate that. And I am excited for this conversation because I think in this conversation, we're going to bring up some aspects to healing from trauma that not everyone is aware of, and they're very important. And so if it's okay, can we begin with your story of your traumatic event of being kidnapped?
Of course. Okay, when I was 25 years old, I was kidnapped and held in captivity for 90 days in the dark. In that time, I was single mother and I did have my 3-year-old girl that was waiting for me in the daycare the day they kidnapped me. I was coming out from my University of Medellin, and right there at the gate of the university, two cars stopped me, and I thought it was like they're gonna rob my car, and didn't. It was a gun in my forehead. They put me in the trunk of a car, and they just lost the key from my freedom. And I was worried. I was in shock, but at the same time, I was worried about my 3-year-old girl that was waiting for me. So it was very traumatic situation. At the beginning, it was like terrified. I was terrified the entire time. And they torture you in a way, not physical, but mentally and verbally, like, we're gonna kill you, and they say bad words to you. And if your family don't pay, we're gonna torture you, we're gonna send a piece of your body to your family. And your family don't pay, we're gonna sell you to people in the mountains and they do whatever they want with you. So I was constantly hearing that, and it was terrible. Like, nobody's gonna understand that trauma. Only another person that be in captivity will understand that, or somebody that have a huge trauma and they know what is pain and what is suffering and what is like to be afraid.
Wow. Gloria, that is horrific. That is like a nightmare.
Yes.
And it's exponentially even worse when you're terrified not only for your own well-being, but for a 3-year-old daughter who now doesn't have her mother. Did someone come pick her up? How was her? We're going to hear more because I know the story did not end when you were free. But if it's okay, what happened to your daughter and how did you get free?
Okay, my daughter, thank God my family went to pick her up, because what happens is when they kidnap me, my family receive a phone call like an hour later. Because my mom was like, why? Because every time I pick up my daughter, I go to my mom's house to say hello. And my mom saw that I was not coming. And then from the daycare, they called my mom because I couldn't answer the phone because I was already kidnapped. So my mom went to pick up my daughter, but they don't know what happens to me at that point. So when they receive a phone call that I was kidnapped, that my family become in shock, like they don't know what to do. So it's even hard for me and also harder for the family because imagine you as a parent that they kidnap your kid and you don't know if that kid is alive. Because what happens with my family, they start looking for me in the hospitals, in the morgue, where the people when die and take them to there. They look for me everywhere and couldn't find it until they said that, I was kidnapped. So they know they have to wait for them to give any communication. But also being kidnapped and thinking about my daughter, it kept me alive because that was my motor for me to survive and to say, I bring this kid to the world. I want to be her mother. I want to be a mother. I want to be for her. And it was very traumatic, the whole situation, but also if she was not alive or if I didn't have a kid, I probably now would be alive.
She gave you a reason to keep going beyond
Yes.
yourself.
Yes, because it gets to a point when you're kidnapped in captivity that you just want to let go. Because you go into the first 11 days for me, because everybody's different. But for me, the first 11 days was horrible. I cried all the time, wake up, my body get exhausted. I go to sleep. I wake up, I start crying, my body gets exhausted, go to sleep. So at the 11 days, something came on me and say, no tears, no nothing. It was like I was empty. And something in my mind like got created and say, let's survive. This is the present and this is the only thing I have. So let's survive and see what's gonna happen. So it's like give me more motor to keep going, but also I got like heavy depression being there. Because I never thought what was depression until I got kidnapped. Severe depression, severe anxiety. And I also had Stockholm Syndrome.
Yes, and we're
And
going to talk
Stockholm
about
Syndrome,
Stockholm Syndrome. But did your parents pay the ransom? How did you get free?
yes, yes. My parents have to negotiate with them for me to be free.
Wow.
There's not another way around because when they kidnap someone, of course, your first resource as a family is the military, and the military have like a a group inside of the military group that are professionals to rescue kidnap people that are kidnapped, and not even those people couldn't, I feel them very close because one in my book I said that I hear the helicopter over the building where I was, but they couldn't find me. But that day was horrible for me. I didn't want them to rescue me because they came with a grenade and say, "Hey, they are coming for you. We're gonna blow this F building with you inside and out of us."
Wow. Horrific. And you said after 11 days, you had a mental kind of shift where it is my job right here, right now, is to survive. And we're going to talk more about what that does in our mind when we are in this survival mindset. And part of it might include Stockholm Syndrome. Can we talk about that a little bit?
Yes. Well, when the mind shifted, in the moment that my mind shifted to survive, it happens many things. But one of the most things that I just noticed it after I got released, because I have to study everything what happens to me there, because being there, you don't know. So what happens to me there was like, okay, we need to survive. And then your mind start to be creative, very creative. So means I saw a little window, so I was thinking how I probably can go through that window and escape. When they opened the door, then I said maybe when they open the door, maybe I can run and escape. But it gets to a point that no, the window's too small. Then I don't know what's gonna happen after they're gonna catch me, and then they're gonna kill me. The same thing with the door. But something inside of me said you should be kindness. And kindness means thank you for the water. Thank you for the food. Thank you to let me shower more, more time, more often. Thank you for because at that time I was 25 years old, so I had my periods. So thank you for the pads for my periods. So thank you for everything. At the beginning, they don't they don't care about that. But then I saw one of them, they said, "Oh, you're welcome." So that in that moment I said, that's my target. That's my target. I know this works, but I didn't know that, oh, I know what I'm doing. No, I don't know what I was doing. I was, going with the flow. And then I said, what women have. Also men have this too, but women have this power, that seduction. And the seduction didn't come from like, okay, I'm gonna seduce this man. No, it came from my deep depression that I got. And one of the kidnappers came in and saw me like that. And he put me up. I went down and he hugged me. And when he hugged me, after many days being kidnapped, it felt like a transfer of vital energy into me. In that moment, I attached to him emotionally. And then I said, oh, this guy is my savior. This is the guy who's going to protect me. So I start in the mode of, this is my target. I'm going to seduce this guy, being extra nice with him, be like very like telling him, let's talk more, come in, you to talk to me more. And that's what I did. And that's what he started doing, coming in more often. And we talk a lot about a lot of stuff. And so I start seeing them not like my enemy. I start seeing them as a friend. Like, okay, they're taking care of me. They're not touching me. Of course, every time they open the door, it's like, what they're gonna do to you? But I got more at ease when this guy said to me, you know what? They're not gonna do anything to you because there's an order from the top that we cannot touch you in any way. So for me, it was like, oh, thank God. So now it was more for me, okay, I'm gonna keep going with this plan. And I feel love for the guy. Like in the moment, I feel love. I was not playing. I was there. I said, okay, because in one part of my book, my family and my story, my family say that they was not going to pay because they don't have the money. So when they say that for me, like, oh my God, now what? Now what? So I start negotiating my life, like, don't kill me for money, don't kill me. I have a daughter. I'm just a simple woman that wants to live life. Please, my daughter's waiting for me. I'm a single mother. That kid is gonna be alone. Like, why? For money? It's not me. It's not me the one to pay. It's my family. So why I have to pay for that? So I was like constantly negotiating, and this guy already have emotionally attached to me also. And he said, don't worry, I'm gonna do my best to help you to get out from here. Let's plan. I say, I already have a plan. I have an apartment and a car that I can sell, and I can pay you so you guys don't listen to this. You guys don't lose the money that you already invest on me to plan the kidnap, because the kidnap is just a business. They take you for money, but also each person have their own job to do.
Wow, what a thought. This kidnapping is a business, and you're right.
Yes.
You are right.
Yeah.
Wow, as you're talking and working your way through kind of the process of this survival and this method of survival, and I'd like to kind of expound on that a little bit more. This is something that you may be aware of, Gloria, but maybe not all of our listeners are. That in our body, we have our nervous system. This controls the things that we don't have to think about, our breathing, our digestion, our immune system. And we have different branches. We have just the normal setting, which sometimes we call rest and digest or parasympathetic dominant. And we also have our survival mode, our turbo boost. And this is the sympathetic dominant. This is our fight and flight. But usually we say fight or flight, and that's the shortened version. And I use that name because it's short, but it's not the full name. Sometimes people call it fight. flight, freeze, or fawn. And another way to put it is fight, flight, freeze, and appease. And in some situations where it is not reasonable to be able to fight your attacker or to be able to escape. And this can happen in many scenarios, like a kidnapping, but also in child abuse, where there's a child and an adult, where they are greatly overpowered, or a woman against a much larger man, where fighting or running away are not viable options.
Mm-mm.
And so our brain turns to freeze or appease. These are tools to protect us and keep us safe. And sometimes these tools, which are not very understood, make a person who is a victim afterwards feel guilty. Like, I was part of the problem. I asked for this. And it can also confuse other people who look at it from the outside, who have not been in that circumstance, and they say, well, this is your fault. You did this. When that's not the case. This is our brain helping us to survive. And if you are still alive, it worked.
That's
And
the only thing that matters.
exactly. And that is what survival is. So for anyone who is listening, who has used these tools, freeze, appease, we need to be compassionate with ourselves. And for those who have a loved one or a friend who have used the tools of freeze and appease, we need to have compassion. That's the first step. And also, we want to help people who have been victims to get out of that survival mode and stop surviving and begin thriving. And that means we need to become aware, and now we got to make some changes. Those methods that were used were absolutely necessary at that time, but we don't want to carry that for a whole lifetime. And you know that even after you escaped physically, the mind continues to stay in that fight, flight, freeze, and appease. And interestingly enough, we can end up repeating these cycles. Can you kind of share some of those examples of how you unintentionally repeated those cycles?
Of course, I want to go a little bit back on what you're saying too, that when you are in captivity, you're physically, you're kidnapped, you're mentally, you're free in that moment. But when they release you, you're physically free, but your mind got auto-kidnapped right away. It's like you auto-kidnap yourself and all those fears and what just happened. And if you don't get the help and like right away, all the symptoms, everything that you collect in that trauma, it will reflect in everything. It's in everything. In my case, it was my relationships. I was having Stockholm Syndrome in all my relationships. What I mean, toxic relationships. It was not like the one, in fact, the one that I have with the kidnapper was much better than the ones I have after I got released.
Isn't that
Because
interesting?
it is. Because the ones I have after I got released, I was already toxic, poisoned. So I got into relationships attracting exactly who I was. So I attract narcissists. I was a narcissist. I didn't know that. And I didn't create the recipe to be that. But I came from a trauma that I was not resolved, that I didn't see that I have to resolve that. I also went into workaholic mode, survival. I came to this country. What you need to do when you came to another country? Survive. So I was workaholic, surviving. Relationship. Every time I find a guy that I like, I got him because I feel that secure, that I feel that in one point, I feel that I don't know to do my things by myself. I have to have someone. So every time I attach to the guy, if the guy have a better job or better position, I attach to him. Always like that. And in the relationship with people, very bad. Because I got mad into to my family for many years because I run with my own story. I was selfish to run with my story. I was kidnapped and they don't give me attention right away. But also my family entire was kidnapped. And also I forgot that my family also was kidnapped because of me. So I run with my story. And it took me almost 70 years to sit down with my mom and my father and say, I hate you guys for this. And then when I hear their story, they said, and it's very emotional for me, this part. They say, we have to say that we don't have money because that's what they said to us to say. But we had to take medication to be able to say that because we couldn't. And after we say that, we just was worried because we knew they was gonna kill you. So it like all that story without my story, like wow,
That
like
is so important to recognize that we have our story. And your story is not only your experience, but it
no,
is your understanding of the experience. And and being able to speak to your parents, because part of your story is you abandoned me. You left me here. And that compounds that I am dealing with this horrific experience and I am on my own. I can't count on anybody. The only person that I can possibly turn to save me is one of my kidnappers who is nice and gives me a drink of water and gives me a hug. That's the only person that I can turn to. That's the only person I can trust in this situation. And that story, you can feel it echoing as it repeats, as you come out where you said, my body is free, my mind is not free. And you're feeling unsafe. So what do? I've got to attach to somebody who's going to make me feel safe, at least for a moment. Let me feel safe for just a moment. And how wonderful as you are able to listen and talk to your parents and learn there was more to the story than
yes,
you understood. Your parents, fortunately, did not abandon you. They were also in survival mode and trying to survive themselves and trying to protect and help you with what limited resources they had available. And that's helpful to have that extra information. But oh my goodness, it is so important to have that opportunity to change our story. Do you now feel safe inside your own body? Do you feel safe inside your world?
yes, yes, and no. Because yes, I can tell you right now, yes, but something can trigger me and I can go back to square one. But also I learn I study a lot about myself. I work a lot about myself. I read a lot. I study. I go to retreats, to everything. And I can feel when something I can get triggered. So I have my tools. And also this is something very ironic that sometimes I think like, wow, I was more tranquil being kidnapped than like years before, like years ago. Why? Because when I was kidnapped, I was in the present the entire time and a little bit about the future. And when I got released, all these 17 years for me to be able to talk about this, I was always in the past and in the future, rarely in the present. So now I'm practicing the present already for 2 years because I tend to go one side to another one. I get anxiety for that. So I know I can get sick, like I can somatize that in my body because my nervous system it got compromised. So I need to regulate that, and I have to understand my body, not only my mind, also my body. And I remember going like I have to go back to Colombia to overcome the fear to be in my country. And I remember that going there, the very first day, I got an spasmo in my lower back And also I got a diarrhea. And I didn't eat something that, I said, okay, what's the food? It was the nervous system reacting. And I was talking to the nervous system, say, we are here in Colombia. We're gonna be okay. This has already happened. Thank you for letting me know. Thank you to protect me in a way. And the symptoms will start going away. But it's a process that you need to go through and hug that process, hug those fears, and go through the fears and to see if you can overcome that. And that's what I've been doing. So I'm free. That's my ultimate goal, to be free in my soul, in my mind, in my body, and also to help people also to feel that way. And it's a process. It's a process. Sometimes it takes longer, sometimes it's gonna take shorter. But in my case, I said I would love to have the right help in that moment for me to heal more faster. But it's not the way we want it. It's how life want you to go through for you to be able to teach and help other people to understand, a complex trauma.
Mm, that is amazing. I'm just with you on this roller coaster ride. You just stepped back into Colombia and your body reacts immediately. You're sick. You're physically sick, and it happens just right away. And you had the presence of mind to recognize this feeling that I'm having is not something that I ate. It is my body responding that I am here in a place where I don't feel safe. And that beautiful kind of inner dialogue that you shared with us of recognizing, body, thank you. I recognize that what you're doing is you're sending me a warning that something isn't safe. And I appreciate that. Now, body, I want you to understand that this thing happened in the past. And right here, right now, you are safe and it is okay. And your body responded to that. You listened, you honored, you respected, you responded. And that is so beautiful. And you mentioned earlier that this trauma is not just in the mind, it is in the body. It is both. They are connected, they are interconnected. And there's a book that you're probably very familiar with, and it's called The Body Keeps the Score by Dr. Bessel van der Kolk. And he has done just the world a huge favor by helping to help people become aware of how trauma affects us. One thing that's important to know is that when we experience trauma, it is recorded in the mind differently. It feels like it is present, not the past. You had to tell your body, that was in the past. I'm safe right now. Because in your body, it was not the past. It was the present. It was right here, right now. And you needed to respond. And so it's important to recognize that's why it's so hard. And we need to have compassion. And another thing that he explained is that it is trapped in our body, not just our mind. And some of the healing techniques, I love how he describes it. He says there's top down and there's bottom up. And top down is when we work with our mind, we have a therapist, we try to talk it out, and those kinds of things help, and maybe medication for anxiety. He says we can also work from the bottom up. Because it's trapped in our body, we can use our body to help heal. And I know that you do many of these techniques. You are a Reiki master, a massage therapist, and also a yoga teacher. And we can use these kind of somatic, these physical movement activities can help us to be able to deal with trauma. And I love that there's more than one approach because we're different. And some people, this might work better, and other people, this might work better. And for many of us, it will be, I need both. Let's use all the tools and resources that are available. So I'm glad that you are healing. And it sounds like there's still some work to go because that was a hugely traumatic event.
Yes. Huge, complex. Like There's five classes in life. Rejection, you need to learn what is rejection, humiliation, abandonment, injustice. And I always have it here with me. And betray. So I went through all of them. But what is the ultimate goal? To forgive the people that hurt us, but also those people teach us to have unconditional love for yourself first and for others. That they hurt you because they're also hurt. It's like a cycle. So you're never gonna get hurt when somebody is healthy. You're gonna get always hurt when somebody is hurt and not healthy. So if we start understanding that, we can lift the weight that those situations give us. Like I have to forgive my family, forgive myself for me to have all those feelings towards my family. Talk to them. Sorry, I have these feelings. And also people that hurt me in the way up, also to have a phone call and say, I want to ask you for sorry, to forgiveness, because I was thinking about this about you because you hurt me. And sometimes they said, oh my God, Gloria, I'm so sorry. I didn't know I hurt you. They don't even know. So sometimes we just, like I said, we just run with our stories.
We
And
do.
we have to listen to the other part and have a comprehension. Like you came to this world to serve, but you come to learn. And when you learn, you serve. And how you serve, understanding the pain and suffering of others. And like you mentioned before, the tools are different for everybody. And the best tool is the one that is inside of you. But you need to find the master key to unlock that and to find out like what it works for you.
That's so important. I really appreciate you bringing up the idea of forgiveness and how the purpose really of forgiveness is our healing. It's for me. It's not necessarily for them. If it benefits them, that's great, but it's really for me. And the layers of forgiveness, we need to forgive the people who hurt us. We need to forgive our family members that maybe we misunderstood. And we need to forgive ourselves. And to me, forgiveness, we use that word, and I think a lot of people interpret it differently. To me, the word forgiveness is about letting go. It is not about saying, oh, that's okay. Like the bad thing that you did, oh, that was okay, because it's not. And it will never be okay, ever. But what I am willing to do in saying, I forgive you, you person who hurt me, is I am willing to let go. I am willing to let that be in the past. And then the present, right here, right now, I am free. I am free. And I'm not going to let that hurt and all of those feelings that I had continue to hurt me and poison me. And if we can let the past be in the past, then we can heal. Or we can hold on to it forever and ever and continue to be in that fear and in that pain. And it doesn't benefit us. So that forgiveness is so necessary.
I think the forgiveness is one of the miracle tools. It's the miracle tool because it makes you free completely. And the other person too. Because energetic, you are connected to that person. If you hate that person because that person hurt you, you are energetic connected to that. So what happens is like you think, oh, like you said, oh, it's okay, I'm sorry. No, it's when you see somebody that hurt you, you see physically or you think about that person and you don't feel nothing. Like you don't feel resentment or you don't feel anything negative about that person. You feel, okay, yeah, happens. And I don't feel the weight. Like, oh, I hate this person. I can't stand this person. That's the weight. And when you just see the person, it's like, yeah, I understand where you're coming from. I'm okay. I'm happy. And I think you're happy too. But it's like that feeling. Forgiveness, like, it's not like that simple. It's very challenging, but it's a miracle tool.
It is beautiful. And you said, and I'm okay, which I think is a huge distinction from what you did is okay. It's no, that wasn't okay. But here, now, I'm okay. And I can move forward and I can be free. Gloria, thank you for what you shared. Is there anything you want to make sure that we cover before we close today?
Well, I just want to say to everybody that the only wish I have is for you to understand your traumas and to be free.
Yes, we want to be free, not only in the body, that we're not physically held captive, but that our mind is free as well. So thank you so much for visiting with me today, Gloria. You're amazing.
Thank you. And one more thing, I just want everybody to flourish in captivity, flourish in your darkness, because the darkness is necessary for you to see the light and to enlighten yourself, to enlighten others.
That's beautiful. In closing, I'd like to share a quote by Dr. Kathy Kesselman. She said, "When we lack the power or ability to fight or flee, which occurs commonly with complex trauma, we will freeze, appease, or dissociate." Today, I invite our listeners to show more compassion for trauma survivors, and that includes other people and ourselves. See you next time on Linda's Corner. Thanks for listening. Please share and subscribe to help us reach new listeners. And if you'd like to heal your life from the inside out, there is a free video series at hopeforhealingfoundation.org. Just click on the Free Stuff tab. I also invite you to grab a copy of one of my books, like Crushed, A Journey Through Depression, and You Got This, an action plan to calm fear, anxiety, worry, and stress. See you next time on Linda's Corner.